What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video talking about, can Jake Paul really beat Mike Tyson? I want to make this video right now because there was a press conference between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson a couple days ago, and I wanted to actually bring this point: is why is Jake Paul so invested in this fight? Does he think he can actually beat Mike Tyson? As we all know, Jake Paul is starting his professional boxing career. He was a YouTuber and a Disney star one time, but now has identified himself as a boxer and has done pretty good in the sport. He's defeated some really good boxers, MMA fighters, and different other opponents like YouTubers and stuff like that. He just defeated Mike Perry in Tampa, Florida in July, but Mike Tyson is one of the greatest boxers of all time. He has a great record, and he's a very aggressive individual who's going to step in there with someone who isn't nearly as experienced of him. The only difference is that he is going to be 57 or 58 years old. So this is the battle of the old versus the young, the new styles versus the old styles. And I just wanted to break down, is there a possibility that Jake Paul can genuinely beat Mike Tyson? If you guys enjoy the UFC content, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help support the channel and let it grow. And please go down there and leave a comment and turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always updated with MMA and UFC and boxing content whenever it comes out. Now let's jump right into the video. Is there a realistic possibility that Jake Paul can beat Mike Tyson? So as we all know, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is going down in the middle of November at the AT&T Arena in Dallas, Texas, in one of the biggest sporting events of all time. This is going to be held in a football stadium of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this fight has so much behind it because we have the old generation of Mike Tyson and all of his fans going up against the new generation of Jake Paul. And it's not like Jake Paul is the biggest boxer that we all know, but he's probably the biggest name that Mike Tyson could fight in the sport of boxing right now, besides someone like Canelo Alvarez and other people like that. Jake Paul has that social media following behind him. He's got that younger generation following, and this is a clash of ages going between each other. But can Jake Paul realistically beat Mike Tyson? And I want to lay out a couple of reasons of why I do think that Jake Paul is going to end up winning this fight against Mike Tyson, but I cannot predict it fully because there is so many unclear answers that we can find out until they step into the octagon coming that date in November. The first thing I want to talk about is Jake Paul having a very good chin, and Jake Paul's chin is going to be a lot better than Mike Tyson's. Mike Tyson's, as I've said, is over 57 years old. He's either 57 or 58, which is absolutely insane for a boxer to be stepping inside the ring with. Now, you got Jake Paul, who's a young, up-and-coming, hungry fighter. Now, you might be able to say whatever you want about him, that he's a Disney star, that he's a YouTube fighter, but Jake Paul has heart, and Jake Paul has a chin. He was absorbing some massive shots from Mike Perry. He ate a massive shot from Tyron Woodley in their first fight. And honestly, Jake Paul is one of the best fighters to come out of this YouTube boxing world, to where he is genuinely making a pro career out of himself. He's been training full-time for almost 6 years now, and he's dedicated his life to the craft of boxing, which is something incredible to see. But Jake Paul has something that you really can't train, and that is the ability to take a shot. And yes, I know Mike Tyson hits super hard, but I think that Jake Paul is going to be able to absorb shots quicker, which makes me lead into the second thing, which is Jake Paul is going to be a lot faster than Mike Tyson. And the reason that these go 2 and 2 together is I'm only talking on the defense right now, and I'll get to the offense, which I do think that Jake Paul will be faster than Mike Tyson on the offense too. But on the defensive side, I think Jake Paul is going to be able to evade a bunch of shots and throw some counters. And the reason I think that this is going to be a very useful thing is I think that Mike Tyson's chin is going to be a lot worse than a lot of people think. Jake Paul hits very hard. He might not have the best technique. He might not have the best footwork, but Jake Paul has a great chin, and he's going to be a lot younger than Mike Tyson. And yes, I don't want to put the age as a big discrepancy in here because it's known between everyone that there's like a 30-year age difference or something like that, but Jake Paul is going to be a lot faster and have a lot better of a chin than Mike Tyson, which is going to allow him to absorb shots better, see different offensive schemes by Mike Tyson, and Jake Paul is 100% going to be working diligently to be able to get that job done and prepare for one of the best boxers the world has ever seen. Now, going to the speed on the offensive end for Jake Paul, I think Jake Paul is going to be able to dart in there and out, and I truly think that he's going to be able to hit Mike Tyson with a couple shots. And like I've said, I don't think Mike Tyson's chin is the same. So I think one shot landing for Jake Paul is going to equal a lot more than one shot landing for Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson's going to have to keep a very high guard, which I do think he's going to do. I think he's very cognizant about his chin. I think he's going to be able to understand that Jake Paul hits very hard, especially against his fight with Mike Perry. Jake Paul was hitting so hard. He was flinging Mike Perry across the octagon, and it's pretty apparent of how much added muscle Jake Paul has added to his frame ever since getting this fight scheduled with Mike Tyson and in the heavyweight division. The next thing I want to point out is the heart between these two fighters. Jake Paul is an up-and-coming fighter who's trying to make his name. Even though he is incredibly famous, he has a lot of money, he has a lot of other things. But Mike Tyson's a fighter who could be just doing this for the bag of money. Mike Tyson's going to get a hefty payday from this fight with Jake Paul, probably upwards of $20 million if I had to guess. And Jake Paul doesn't need that money. Jake Paul is doing this to say that he defeated one of the greatest fights in the world. You look at that fight with Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, an absolutely crazy exhibition match. But Logan Paul wanted to go in there and say he beat Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather wanted an easy night out of the office to get a lot of money, which you can't blame him for, considering that Logan Paul is not a professional boxer and he would draw the attention of a lot of different fans. So I believe that Jake Paul is going to be a lot more invested in this fight. I think he's going to care a lot more. Not saying that Mike Tyson's not going to train hard, he's not going to do everything the correct way, but I do think that Jake Paul is going to be incredibly invested in every single aspect of the fight game, whereas Mike Tyson being out there for so long could cut some corners thinking that he is genuinely just better than Jake Paul in every single category. And I truly think that the preparation and the hard work for this camp leading up to this fight is only going to be better for each opponent who does it, just because these styles are so much different from one another. Yes, they're still under boxing, but it's the young age versus the old age in boxing. But the other thing I want to point out is just the overall health of these two human beings. And this goes back kind of with age, but I just want to talk about the chronic health of Mike Tyson. We all know that Mike Tyson has had some incredible wars in the ring, which have cost him so many years on his life, because getting hit that hard, getting knocked out, getting punched that much, not only in the ring, but in the practice facilities, that's something that's going to wear on your body. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a newer boxer. He's just came into the sport late. He started probably when he was in his lower 20s, and he definitely has a lot less miles on the clock. So you look at Mike Tyson, who's 57, 58 years old, versus Jake Paul, who's 28, 29 years old, and you just compare the differences between the two, considering that Jake Paul is going to have a lot less miles on the clock. His health is a lot better. He might be not doing the greatest things in the world, but truly Jake Paul has a lot of health and a lot of different help behind him going into this fight with Mike Tyson. Ultimately, I do think Jake Paul's going to get the job done. I think that this is going to be a bigger indication of age rather than skill. I think Jake Paul being the younger fighter, I think Jake Paul being the more hungry fighter, and I think that Jake Paul being able to absorb a shot a lot more is going to carry a lot of weight going into this fight with Mike Tyson. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights Is MMA, and please let me know what you think down below in the comments about this fight with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Do you think it should even be happening? Is Mike Tyson too old to be taking this fight? Is Mike Tyson going to destroy Jake Paul? Please let me know what you think down below in the comments on every single take about this Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, because I think it's one of the most interesting sporting events to happen in the 21st century. Having a fighter as old as Mike Tyson going up against a fighter like Jake Paul, who is so new and has such a big following behind him. It's such an interesting aspect to every single little part of the fight game, to where it is a very hard fight to question and a lot of harder to call, because there are so many unanswered questions that we won't know until the fight starts. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights Is MMA. And please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers. So please go down there and hit the subscribe button. It would mean so much. And while you're hitting the subscribe button, please turn on the like button and the post notifications button, just so you guys are always notified when more UFC and boxing content releases daily. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights Is MMA. And I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.